Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have our resident, I feel like Artie has been in most of the reading recaps, so I think we're going to call her our resident reading recap kitty. She really likes it when we sit in this chair together, and apparently when we talk books. The other two kitties, Nike and Hades, are in the room with us. They're just off screen in their cat tree right over there, doing kitty cat naps and watching out windows. So happy August. We made it. We made it through most of the summer. And this week's video, I'm going to go over everything that I read in the month of July. July was a really good reading month for me. I think I got through 8 books, and I started a 9th, so that one will go into August reading recap because I'm only like a third of the way through it. It's a longer fantasy, so those normally take me a little bit longer to get through. But from YA romance to a couple more cozy mysteries to actual tears, let's talk about everything that I read in the month of July. I started July finishing out listening to the Secret Bookcase mystery series. The first book that I listened to in the month of July was A Victim at Valentines, and I gave this one a solid 4 stars. It was another short, sweet, cozy mystery from Ellie Alexandra, and it was a good one. I kind of wish that I had read it in February because it just had the most perfect like Valentine's Day theme. I mean, if you can ignore the murder, or maybe you like a little bit of murder in Valentine's Day, spice it up a little bit. Am I right? Um, but we have a matchmaker come to the secret bookcase, and she's going to host a matchmaking weekend to help singles of the area meet and fall in love. And she's going to use as like a base of operations the bookstore where Annie, Fletcher, and the gang all like their home base. So, of course, there is a murder, but more so in this book than the previous books in this series, we have a lot more information about Scarlett's case. And actually, like, the story was resolved, like, as an independent, I don't know what I'm doing with my hands, story. That was resolved quite a bit earlier than it was in the past books, where Scarlett's storyline was kind of just sprinkled in maybe throughout the book or right at the end. This one, there was like a solid chunk of time at the end that was dedicated to Scarlett's case. You know, I should probably say, spoiler alert, if you're at the very beginning of the secret bookcase mystery. I'm going to talk about the last 2 books. I kind of just talked about one of them, and I'm going to talk about the finale here in like a minute. But I really liked hearing about Scarlett's case and getting more into that. I thought that was very interesting. Scarlett's case was something from the very first book that was set up so well that I was really excited to hear more. And there was some drama. There was some cliffhangers. If you know, you know. If you know, and you happen to be watching this video, like, go ahead and, like, I don't know, throw in a cat emoji because I like cats. Or if you, like, because of this channel, you've started to read Ellie Alexandra and you have to go and finish it and then come back, just open this video up, put a cat in the comments, be like, I know, I get the joke, but I'll digress. I give this a 4 stars. It was a really good cozy mystery. It's something that if you are listening to the audiobook, you can finish it in a day if that's like something you do while you're working, or if you just like have a solid amount of time and you can sit and dedicate to reading this book, you can get it done in a day. It's so great. Before I move on to the next book, which is A Body at the Bookfair and the finale of A Secret Bookcase Mystery, I almost forgot to mention that in A Victim at Valentines, we actually find out that so again, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know, it's not a major spoiler, but if you don't want to know, skip ahead like 30 seconds. Fletcher has been like getting a murder of ravens to be his friends, and it's very adorable. And they play a part in a murder, or not a murder, a victim at Valentine's Day. And Fletcher and Annie decide to come together and open up their own private eye, the novel detectives. So now we'll go right into A Body at the Bookfair, which is the finale for Secret Bookcase Mysteries. I gave this one another 4 stars. I thought it was just as good as the rest of the series. We have Annie and Fletcher traveling a little bit outside of their normal location to, I believe, San Diego for a book fair that is specifically for booksellers. And are you surprised? There's a murder. There's a murder at the book fair. And the novel detectives are, in fact, hired to work there or to work the murder. I would say this book actually almost focuses more so on Scarlett's case and Scarlett's murder than it does the book fair. I would say maybe it's like 40% book fair murder, 60% Scarlett's murder, but it's woven together so well and so seamlessly. Ellie Alexandra did an absolutely phenomenal job, and I think she's actually doing a spin-off series with these characters, and the spin-off series will be the novel detectives, and I will most likely continue reading because it was just great, and I have found a great cozy mystery author that I can just binge all of their books, and I'm very excited about that. Next up, we have my first physical book of the month. It is Rival Darlings by Alexandra Moody. This book was recommended to me by one of my friends who had previously read it on Kindle Unlimited, I believe. And she said, "Hey, you're a hockey romance girly. I think you would enjoy this." And she was right. I did enjoy it. I gave this 4 stars. This is actually a YA hockey romance following our male main character Reed and our female main character Violet. I had to like double check my notes real quick that it was Reed and Violet, and it is. It's Reed and Violet. So this follows Reed and Violet. They are both seniors in high school, and Violet has actually just transferred to this school from California. I think we're in Minnesota, but I'm not 100% sure. She's switched states. It's in a cold state, and she moved there over the summer where she started dating on, like, she didn't start dating him on accident, but she didn't know he was a hockey star of the high school on accident when she started dating him. And then at the beginning of the year, she goes to a party and she finds that he's, spoiler alert, skip ahead, he's cheating on her. He was making out with the girl he told her not to worry about that was only his best friend. So they break up, but he is not one to be broken up with, so he keeps trying to get her back. And honestly, that's actually a theme for a couple of the books that I read this month. But he keeps trying to get her back, is not leaving her alone. So she ends up fake dating Reed, who is the hockey star captain of her school's rival team. the Ransom Devils, and his last name is Darling, so it's Rival Darling because they're rivals, and his last name is Darling. It's very cute. It's very cutesy. So some themes in this book is fake dating, instant chemistry. I'm not going to say instant love, but like instant chemistry. They were both like instantly drawn to each other. And it's so cute the whole time. Like, I think it would also fall into like he falls first, but they're just really trying to like, she's trying to get her ex-boyfriend to leave her alone. He wants to date her, but she now has a no hockey guy rule. So he's like, well, let's just fake date. And he makes up a scenario that, oh, all of these girls are trying to get me to go to the dance with them. And if I'm dating someone, they'll leave me alone, which he's like, it's not true because he's made it or I guess he's made it clear that he's not interested in dating anyone except for Violet. So it's a super cute book. I think I already said I rated it 4 stars. I really liked it. If you are also into hockey romance or sports romance, I think you should give this a try. There's no spice because it's a YA novel, but it's so cute. Totally worth your read. Next, our 4th book of the month was Grumpy Darling. This is the sequel to Rival Darling, and this follows Grayson Darling and Paige, and I don't remember Paige's last name, but I think we should all be proud of the fact that I remembered her first name. I did write it down, but I still remembered it. So again, this is another YA hockey romance. We follow Grayson and Paige, and these two have been best friends since they were 6 years old. So this is a friends to lovers. I would say a little bit of fake dating, but not like actually fake dating. She asked him to be her dating coach because she would like to have her first kiss by the end of their senior year because she hasn't been kissed yet. And he has also been in love with her for as long as he can remember. So again, this is a he falls first. If you like Rival Darling, you will love Grumpy Darling. This is another 4-star YA hockey romance. Literally giggling the entire time I was reading this. I've really come to appreciate this year YA romances. I don't think this was a thing when I was growing up, and I'm so happy that it's a thing now. These books are wholesome and adorable and just very cute. I love reading them, and I'm going to recommend it. Cruising right along to the 5th book that I read this month, we have Of Gold and Shadows. Now, if you have followed me for, just a minute, you know that I went to the Columbus Book Festival in July, and this author, Michelle Griep, I think is how you pronounce her last name, was one of the attending authors. And so what I did is I looked up the attending authors' books and kind of read the blurb to see if they were something that I would like. And if it was something that I would like, when my local bookstore was having a sale, I went ahead and bought the books that I thought I'd like in hopes to get them signed, which I did get this book signed, and I did meet Michelle, and she was a very nice woman. I would say, for the first time in a long time, the back of the book led me astray. This is a good book. I rated it 2.5 stars, so for me personally, a little bit lower than average, but still a good book. And I'll explain my rating here in a minute, because this book seemed like it would be right up my alley, everything that I would like, and it delivered in its own way. What it also delivered on was very faith oriented, and I've even like reread the back cover of this book maybe 2 or 3 times to see if like it was a Mackenzie fault and like I just kind of missed it or missed the point. Um, and the back of the book doesn't really say anything about faith. And maybe if I had like looked up the publisher, I would have realized that it was like Christian fiction. And all of this to say is like none of this is bad. If you like that, you'll really like this book. Me personally, I have faith, but I don't know, it's different. And I don't necessarily enjoy reading about it. I don't mind it when characters have faith, but I feel like a lot of the theme of this book started to become because we believe in God, everything will be okay and everything will work out for us. And I personally believe that like we have control over our own lives, and if we work hard, that's what has to do with success. Um, so yeah, just how much religion was talked about in this book, and there were like paragraphs about faith and Christianity, and that just wasn't what I was looking for. But if that is what you're looking for, you'll like this book because it's really cool. Besides that, now I'll get to the part that I did like of the book. This is set in, I think, Victorian England. We have a lady Egyptologist, Amy, and a heartbroken businessman, Edmund. He has recently come into some Egyptian antiquities and needs someone to value it and tell him what it's worth with each object. And that's where Amy comes in. She is just the woman for the job. And there's some very like great mysteries in this book, and both characters have like very strong morals, which I do like in a book. But again, just the fact that it focused so strongly on religion was not my cup of tea. So that's why I rated it the way I rated it. And there is a sequel to this book, which I also have and is also signed. Um, and I'm just not in a spot where I'm going to read that right now. I think I'm going to give this to one of my friends who is a little bit more religious than I am. I've told her about the book and she's very excited. And so I hope that she likes it. And if she really likes it, I'll probably just be like, go ahead and keep it, queen. It's yours. Here's the sequel. Maybe let me borrow the sequel back sometime so that I can finish reading it if I ever get around to it. The next book that I read in July is another audiobook, and that is Attached at the Hip. Now, I was 100% influenced by TikTok and my love of Survivor to get this book from the library and listen to it. The author herself describes it as a Rob Amber fanfic. So I think if you go into this book, like, I'm going to read this as if it were fan fiction, you're not going to have a problem with it. Also, if you're a fan of reality TV, you'll be a fan of this book. I myself am a really big fan of Survivor, and I liked it. It was a hoot and a half. I gave it 3 stars. There were a couple times where I kind of rolled my eyes. Um, but at the same time, every time I finished listening to it, or like when I got done with what I was doing, did I go to Matt and like had to tell him what was happening in this Survivor-like book? Yes, 100%. This book, Attached at the Hip, is focusing on a new reality TV show of the same name, Attached at the Hip, that is a crossover in ways between Survivor and I think Love Island is what it was supposed to be. I've never seen Love Island, so I'm not sure. But the main character is paired up with different people that she is compatible with while having to survive in Fiji and build shelters and do challenges, and people get eliminated. and it was really cute and it was really good. I think you're immediately set up to root for one pairing, and then like as the book goes on, you start to second guess yourself, and I think it really does well of like putting you in the world of like, if I were on Survivor, 100% I would second guess myself and be like, did I make the right alliance? Is this person going to cut me before I cut them? And I think the author did such a good job at conveying that. If you like reality TV and you want to listen or read to your reality TV, I would recommend Attached at the Hip. We are now on the 7th book that I read in the month of July, and that is Dungeons and Drama. Now, Kristy Boyce was also at the Columbus Book Festival, and I did not get to meet her. I had a previous commitment the day that she was set to appear, so my bestie Victoria brought both of my books and she got them signed and got to meet Kristy, and she said Kristy was so sweet and amazing. So that's wonderful. I hope maybe if she's there next year, I'll get the chance to meet her and tell her how much I loved her books. I'm really trying not to say as much, so we're going to work on that. Dungeons and Drama is another YA romance. This month was heavy on the YA romance, and it was wonderful for me. We follow Riley and Nathan, and they are in high school, and Riley's dad owns a gaming store. Now, she is starting to work at the gaming store because she kind of stole her mom's car and drove it without a license to get to an event she really wanted to go to, which is dangerous and illegal, and she shouldn't have done it. And as punishment, she now has to not have any extracurriculars after school and instead go work at her dad's game shop, where she meets Nathan, who also goes to her high school and also works at her dad's game shop. Now, this is kind of enemies to lovers because they don't get along when they first meet each other. In fact, she accuses him of stealing due to a misunderstanding. And we also have fake dating in this book, where another ex who won't take no for an answer is, I don't know if he's won't take no for an answer, but like he broke up with her and then he just wants to make sure she's doing okay and that she's moved on too. So he keeps following her around, which don't do that. That's weird. And so to tell, like, show him, I'm fine. She goes, I'm dating Nathan. Now, Nathan at first does the logical thing and says, no, I'm not going to fake date you. But she convinces him because Nathan is crushing on someone else who only wants him when someone else has his attention, which is not healthy. But Riley's like, I can help you get your girl if you help me get my ex off of my back. And so drama ensues. They start playing D&D in the book, and that brings them closer together. And I gave this a 5 stars. I loved this book. And it may just be a 5 stars to me because when I was growing up, my dad didn't own a game store, but he worked in a game store. So I have so many memories of hanging out in the store and learning how to play games and seeing the regulars. And it just like rocketed me back to my childhood and in like such a good way. And I loved seeing how Riley and her dad like grew closer because of this bond that they ended up having. I'm gonna try and get through the last 2 pretty quickly because I'm running out of space. So my 8th book of the month was Dating and Dragons, another Kristy Boyce book. Again, we're in high school, YA romance, and this is at a completely different high school. The 2 books are not related, so you could 100% read them as standalones. It does focus on another D&D group. This group live streams on YouTube their sessions. They're gaining a following, and their goal is to make it big in the YouTube scene as a D&D group. And because of this, they have rules. Rule number 1, you cannot be late to the session. Rule number 2, there's no dating in the group at all, which is kind of hard when our main girl, Quinn, had to check, which is hard on our main girl, Quinn, who she has moved to this school halfway through her senior year, and Logan really hit it off. So this is friends to lovers, I would say, but there are the additional challenges of we don't want to lose our friends, and our friends have a strict no dating rule. And there's just some really sad backstory on Quinn's side. And we also have Riley's grandmother is getting older and can no longer live by herself, even though she wants to. So I guess that's a trigger warning. If you are going through that and you don't necessarily want to read about it, trigger warning. But it's not written in a very sad way. Like, it's grandma is still doing great. She's completely fine. And at the end of the book, she also bonds with Riley through D&D. Last but not least, my 9th book of the month, which actually I was listening to kind of in between reading both of Kristy's books, is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I'm a fan of Abby Jimenez. I've read 3 of her books before, Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and Just for the Summer. And every single time I have cried like a baby. So when I heard that she was doing another book, and this one is Say You'll Remember Me, I was prepared. I know that Abby can rip my heart out of my chest, shred it to pieces in the best possible way, and I'll be crying. I did hear some things about the book, which led me not to buy it. I got it through library this time. And those things were that this is a long distance romance book with one of our main characters, Samantha. Her mother is facing advanced dementia. And then our male main character, Xavier, is a vet. And so there are, I think, 2 instances where an animal is in distress. And I was a little bit hesitant reading about those things. So I said, Mackenzie, get it from the library. If you really love it from the library, you can always buy it afterwards, and you've already read it. All of this to say, I'm going to buy it. I haven't yet, but it was so well done. Another thing I really like about what Abby does is she always has content warnings at the start of her book. So before you even continue, she discloses that there is discussion of advanced dementia, there is death in this book, there are animals that are in distress. She does clarify that the main character's animal does not die, which I also appreciated. I think there's a website like Does the Dog Die for like movies, and there should be one for books too, if there's not already. And I can confirm the dog does not die. Huzzah! None of the dogs do. At least I don't think. None of the ones. The dogs are all right. So I think Abby is normally categorized as a romance author, which I would agree with. Her books revolve around 2 people falling in love and wanting to have a relationship. But I always say that I think it's a disservice to her to only classify her as a romance author, because, girl, Abby, you write such a good, tragic romance. You take people and you're like, yes, these are all the reasons why they're in love and they work together. And here are very real life reasons why they can't be together, why it's not going to work. And it's so well done. And again, this is nothing against romance as a genre. I'm a romance girly. I love the romance genre. I think it's wonderful. But when I'm reading or listening to an Abby Jimenez book, I'm getting the romance, yes, but I also know I'm going to be emotionally wrecked and I'm going to be crying. I finished listening to this book while I was working from home, which was a really good thing because I think I was actively crying the whole time the book finished. Like I was at my desk working and listening to the story and crying and working through my tears. At one point, I texted Matt, I was like, don't come into the front room where I'm working unless you're ready to see me, like, tears streaming down my face, sobbing because of this book. To which he was like, why are you reading it then? And I'm like, it hurts so good. It hurts so good, Abby Jimenez. I don't know if I've given you a lot of detail about the book, but I've given you the big points and I don't want to spoil it anymore. All you need to know is that if you're looking for a good cry and you like a romance that's fraught, give her a try. Give So You'll Remember Me a try, but also know your limits. And if you're maybe dealing with a family member with dementia, or you've recently dealt with a family member with dementia who's no longer with you, this might be a heavy topic because Abby does her research well. And one more thing before I close out the video of just appreciating Abby Jimenez and her acknowledgments, she always says, like, if there's anything that isn't 100% accurate, this has nothing to do with the experts that I've consulted with. It's probably my own misunderstanding of the topic. And I appreciate the content warning. I appreciate the research that has been done to make this a solid, believable book. And I appreciate the fact that she acknowledges that no one's perfect, including herself, and that there might be inaccuracies, but being like, that's me. As the author, that's my fault. That's not anyone else's fault, even though there's not fault. It's a work of fiction. So I just really appreciate that. And with that, after that impassioned speech on Abby Jimenez, we're going to close out the video. So until next time, I hope you're reading a great book. I hope you're enjoying New Book Release Tuesday. Artie's decided to rejoin us for the closeout of this video. What do you think, Artie? She also hopes that you're reading a good book. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.